Hello everyone, thank you for joining with us. We are from Group 7, consists of Vita 072, Alda 075, and then Novia 084. Our group, we are going to continue the previous material about assessing speaking. Happy watching! Now we are going to discuss designing assessment tasks responsive speaking. The first one, we have question and answer, and then we have giving instruction and direction, and then we have paraphrasing. Next, question and answer. This task can consist of 1 or 2 questions from the interviewer and prompts in the oral interview. And then, the question at the responsive level tend to be genuine, referential question in which the test taker is given more opportunity to produce meaningful language in response. And for designing the question for the test taker, make sure that you know why you are asking the question. And then the flip side is the usual concept of question and answer task. It aims to elicit question from the test taker. And the last one, to assess the test taker's ability to produce question, we have elicitation of question. Next, giving instruction and direction. In this task, we are going to use stimulus in assessment context that provides an opportunity for the test taker to engage in a relatively extended stretch of discourse to be very clear and specific. The technique of giving instruction and the direction is simple technique because the administrator poses the problem and then the test taker responded. Or scoring based on comprehensibility and specified grammatical. The choice of topic needs to be familiar enough so that you are testing not general knowledge but linguistic competence. And last one, we have 2 pointers for creating such tasks. The first one, the test administrator needs to guard against test taker knowing, and the second one, preparing for such items in advance lest they simply parrot back a memorized set of sentences. Next. Now we are in the last part of responsive speaking. We have paraphrasing. This is another type of assessment task that can be categorized as responsive, which is the test taker should to read or hear a limited number of sentences and they should to produce a paraphrase. And then paraphrasing has orally receiving and orally relaying a message. And then the paraphrasing has an advantages of such tasks are they elicit short stretch output and tap into test taker's ability to practice the conversational art by reducing output or input ratio. And then the last one, paraphrasing has pinpointed the objective of the task clearly to use for assessment procedure. Next.
The next, test of spoken English or TSE. Next. The TSE is a 20-minute audio tape test of oral language ability with academic or professional environment. The task on TSE are designed to elicit oral production in various discourse categories. Next. The following content specification for the TSE represent the discourse and pragmatic context assessed. First, describe something physical, narrative from presented material, summarize information of the speaker's own choice, give directions based on visual materials, give instructions, give an opinion, support an opinion, compare or contrast, hypothesis, function interactively, and divide. Next. And we will discuss about designing assessment tasks in interactive speaking. There are 4 types of interactive speaking. The first is interview, second role play, the third discussion and conversation, and the last is games. Next. The first, interview. Interview is a test administrator and a test takers sit down in direct face-to-face exchange and proceed through a protocol of questions and directives. From Michael Canal in 1984, there are 4 types about interview. The first run-up, second level check, the third probe, and the last window down. The success of an oral interview will depend on the first, clearly specifying administrative procedures of the assessment in practically, second, focusing the question and probes on the purpose of the assignment in validity, the third, appropriately eliciting an optimal amount and quality of oral production from the test taker best performance, and last, creating a consistent, workable scoring system in reliability. Next. Second, role-playing. Role-playing is a popular pedagogical activity in communicative language, teaching classes, and within constraints set forth by the guidelines, it frees students to be somewhat creative in their linguistic output. Next. The third, discussion and conversation. The appropriate task through which to elicit and observe such abilities as first, topic nomination, maintenance and termination, attention getting, interrupting, floor holding, control, clarifying, questioning, paraphrasing, comprehension, signals, negotiating meaning, intonation patterns for pragmatic effect, kind 6, eye contact, proxemics, body language, politeness, formality, and other sociolinguistic factors. Next. And the last, games. Among informal assessment devices are a variety of games that directly involve language production. As an assessment, to specify a set of criteria and a reasonably practical and reliable scoring method. Next. And oral proficiency interview. Next. The best known oral interview format is one that has gone through a considerable metamorphosis over the last half century. Specifications for the OPI approximate those delight above under the discussion of oral interviews in general. Next.
Okay, now we are going to designing assessment tasks, extensive speaking. There are four major points in this subtopic. The first one is oral presentation. The second one is picture-cute storytelling. The third one is retelling a story or news event. And the last one is translation. Next. This is oral presentation. I think all of you are familiar with this topic, right? Because we often do this topic in our class. For example, when my friend and I do a presentation like this about assessment speaking. And then I want to explain about 2 points in this slide. The first one is scoring or evaluation by a checklist or grid. When students do the presentation, we can scoring them with the table below by a checklist or a grid. You can see that on the screen. And then, we also have to consider the grid with 2 major components of assessment. Those are the content and the delivery. The content criteria consists of introduction, the purpose, main idea, and so on. And then, the delivery consists of the gesture and body language, maintain eye contact with the audience, language, volume of speech, and so on. So, we can assess the student from 2 major components of assessment like the content and the delivery. Next. Picture-cute storytelling. The student can do an exercise or test by storytelling. A series of pictures as stimulus for a longer story or description. We can see it from the picture on the screen. There are 6 sequence pictures that describe a story. The student can create the story based on the cue of the picture. For the assessment, the objective of eliciting narrative discourse needs to be clear. If we want to eliciting specific grammatical, for example, we can add the direction like use the past tense of verb. And our criteria for scoring need to be clear about what it is you are having to assess. Next, retelling a story or news event. Test takers hear and read a story or news event that they are asked to retell. The objective in assigning such a task vary from listening comprehension of the original to production of a number of oral discourse features, fluency, and the interaction with hearers. Next, translation. In the translation, a test taker read in the native language and translate it into English. For the criteria scoring, this scoring should therefore take into account not only the purpose in stimulating a translation, but also the possibility of error. Okay, I think that's all from us. Thank you.